So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. My name is Tara Healey, and I'm the founder and director of Mind the Moment. And I am here this morning for a brief period of time with Jonathan Roberts.
Morning, Tara. How are you? Good to see
Good.
you. Good to see the people. The people. Welcome. Now, Tara, as you know, I stand before you, a representative of Living Well Community, that wide world of free virtual wellness programming produced for the good of all humankind by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. Now, Tara, I'm excited to report here on the first 3 Tuesdays in March, my friend, your friend, Kel Juilliard, is leading sessions for us for the Living Well community entitled The Hunger Habit, a neuroscience-based approach to healthier eating. Okay, so now these sessions are directly addressing how we can use research-validated mindfulness practices to change eating habits that we feel may need some updating, but there's an even deeper journey that Kel is taking us on, and that is the journey to understanding how habits get formed in the first place so that we can better understand how to change any habits that are no longer working for us. And so what we learned on Tuesday was that the first step in habit change is recognizing the things that trigger our habits in the first place. Becoming aware of, as Paul Simon put it, those incidents and accidents and hints and allegations that fill every person's life, but which may trigger us towards things like emotional eating, snapping at the people around us, or just wanting to pull a blanket over our heads. And once we understand how the triggers trigger the behaviors, we can then learn to effectively disrupt the pattern for the better. Now, Tara, speaking for myself, I like to start small on these sorts of things. And so instead of working on noticing the big triggers that trigger the big behaviors in my life, I've been trying to pay attention to all the little triggers, those little things that make me say, really? Or you've got to be kidding me, or I can't even. And I can give you a couple examples. All right, so as you know, Tara, I'm from Iowa, where we drive pretty slowly, or as I like to say, pretty safely. We are dedicated to the full and complete stop lifestyle, and we always use our turn signals. And so even though I've been living here in New England now for the better part of 20 years, it still triggers my I can't even response whenever I see a car turn in front of me without using its turn signal. It's like a lot of people in New England, they drive as though they think the car behind them is chasing them, and they have to elude capture by any means possible. Here's another one, Tara. Here's another one. Here's the one that gets me. Whenever I open a bag of cereal, I actually think it's going to work if I pull the sides apart. I think it's going to make the top open in a nice, neat way, but it always ends up ripping down the side and causing the cereal to spill across the kitchen floor. Cereal, which may or may not be embarrassing for a middle-aged man to be eating. I can neither confirm nor deny that it is Cookie Crisp. So I'd love to hear from folks tuning in this morning. What are things that trigger your I can't even response? And I can give you one more for me.
Okay.
Okay, for some reason, I always seem to break my wife's things, but never my own. Like I'll back into something with the car that she bought, or like I break a glass that she likes. Or just yesterday, I was using the standing mixer, the one she's had since before we met, and smoke started to just come out the back. And I swear I'm not trying to sabotage her and her stuff, but it looks like I am, and that drives me crazy.
John, that
John,
is so.
what about you? What are those
So
little triggers that make you say like, oh, no, I can't, I won't?
well, John, first of all, I love what Kel is bringing, and you know, I feel like the practice really helps us see the arising of the physical response to a trigger, so that we can have a little bit more agency and less reactivity. Um, But one of the things that's always been triggering for me is not being listened to. It's a really interesting, if I think about like people in my life that are really good listeners. So I think it stems more to like, it feels important to me to be understood, not agreed with, but to be understood. And it's so funny. This has been, my sister always says this to me. She's like, "Oh boy, you do not like it if someone doesn't understand." And the distinction between understanding and agreement is important because it's not agreement. But as you know, John, I was teaching a listening course yesterday for one of our clients,
I do.
and it just was a reminder to me again about really wanting to keep my own listening skills well honed. Yeah, so that's triggering for me.
I have to ask. So I presume your sister is a good listener.
That my sister
Yeah,
what?
is a good listener.
She's very good listener.
Does she often agree with you, or does she just like?
No, no, I mean, like we're pretty different. You've met my sister. I mean, we're
Yep.
yeah, we're different. I'd have some, I mean, in a lot of ways we're aligned, but of course there are some things that we see a little bit differently. But she's a great listener.
Well, maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Yes, yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah, somebody said, okay, Colleen is having your words explained, like as though you didn't just say it. It's like and that yes, I know. I get that.
Yeah.
It's like when you or I have a buddy, my friend Gabe, and we joke with each other. Sometimes when we disagree, it's like we're saying to each other, like, good point. Let me tell you why you're wrong about that. And or Tara, I've seen this happen to you. We were talking about this the other day, how, in certain parts of the country, people are more apt to pronounce your name Tara. And I think I've witnessed when you introduce yourself as Tara, and then somebody tries to correct you, like, you mean Tara? Like,
Yeah.
no, it's been this way for quite a
I
while.
I know my name.
Yeah, that's right. Well, folks, listen, if you happen to have missed that first session with Kel that we did on Tuesday, don't despair. You can access the recording on our YouTube page right now. And it's also not too late, never too late, to join the second and third sessions, which are taking place on March 11th and March 18th, both days at 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm just going to drop in the chat here just some links that would be helpful to you, if any of that sounds intriguing, and I hope it does. All right, Tara. I may
Thanks, John.
I may leave you to it, but thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great to see you.
Thank
It's
you,
just everyone
John.
this morning. All right.
All right. Okay, everybody. So let's go ahead and settle into a posture that feels supportive and comfortable and easeful, and allow the body weight to just surrender into the support of the ground below. Your eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels best this morning. Um, and I would suggest also not like leaning back on a chair, but holding the body upright, engaged, yet, sort of softened to the degree that you can and still hold yourself up. Take a couple deep breaths, making the exhalation longer than the inhalation, just as a way to settle in and settle any surface tension from your activity this morning. And allowing the body and the mind to come together, just letting go of all that has happened so far this morning and releasing anticipation of what's next. Mind and body together. And for a moment, just noticing sounds in the room or outside of the room that you're in. So, for a moment, let's just have a wide angle lens of awareness, kind of opening the field, and receiving sound. And allowing sound to arise and pass in the setting that you're in as it will, and begin to bring awareness back inward, bringing awareness to the whole body, and noticing sensations from your activity, noticing points of contact with the back of the body and the surface, and really just simply receiving what that point of contact actually feels like. So, subtle pressure. Um, what else? Are you noticing a pulsing, a vibration, tingling, temperature, the heartbeat, the somatic experience, just receiving the senses, and allowing the sensations in the body to serve as an anchor? And turning toward what's happening, simply receiving, whether it feels pleasant or unpleasant. And let's now find an anchor for the wandering mind. So that could be a narrow anchor, like the feeling of the breath as you inhale and exhale at the nostrils, could be the rise and fall of the belly, the abdomen, the chest. So as the body breathes in the way that it wants to breathe, where do you notice the sensation of the inhalation and the exhalation most easily? So as the mind wanders, we can return to this anchor, this stabilizing force. And it could be quite narrow or it could be broad. And if breath is challenging today, you could take the palms of your hands and rest them on the top of your thighs. You could use a different point of contact with the body and the surface. You could open awareness to sound. So take a moment to just select what's going to be most helpful to you this morning. What would you like to return your attention to? Resting, anchoring. And take a moment to see, where is your mind right now? And being kind and giving yourself some grace, knowing that thoughts slip in unnoticed. And as soon as we notice, that's an opportunity to just release, soften the body, and return to your anchor. You are doing it right. This is the practice. And again, just simply aware, where is the mind? And gently releasing the memory, the planning, the worry, whatever narrative has slipped in. Bring full awareness to the body and see if you can soften yet maintain an engaged posture. And just bring your attention back to breath or other body sensation or sound. And again, just letting go of the planning and the memory. Soften the body and return. And as we bring this meditation to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease. May our heart be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may whatever good comes of our practice be of benefit to all beings. So, taking a moment, if the eyes were closed or gaze down, to just reorient to the room that you're in. Maybe take a little bit of a stretch. And so something that came to me that I feel like it's worth putting some emphasis on is the value of really working with the body and doing body scan meditations, because I feel often like the body knows first before the mind. And so when we're triggered in any way, it could be, something that's off putting in some way, or something that's frightening, or something that's joyful, to really key into what's going on with the body. And, just softening, allowing the body to soften just to the degree that you can, and then move forward with an action or words, whatever, because that way it's, whatever we do, whatever action we take or words we use is informed by the messages of our body. And I think, from such a young age, we're kind of taught to just work from the neck up. Um, and that it can be such a habit pattern for the mind to just ruminate and churn. And yet there are ways, and also to believe what's going on up here. And so the practice can help us see that we don't have to believe everything that we think, and to gain some perspective by bringing awareness to our bodies. So I just wanted to offer that. And we do have, we've got like 5 or 6 minutes. So as always, please feel free to share a book or a podcast, or, an app or something that is supporting your practice. Feel free to share that with the community. Just open up the chat, um, and of course, questions, if there is a question about your practice that has arisen. I think from the very beginning of bringing these practices to bear on the work that I do, I've been working against cultural baggage, ideas about what this practice what many might think the practice is. It's not uncommon for me to hear, well, I tried meditation and it doesn't work for me. And I often wonder what their thought. If I have an opportunity, I'll ask, but what is the expectation? And oftentimes the expectation is that this is a practice of relaxation, and it's actually not that. Relaxation and ease can be a byproduct, but it's not about relaxing as an end goal. Yeah, when I thought my mind had to be totally quiet. Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. Nancy, thank you so much for your, honesty, your willingness to share that, because um, John and I were talking the other day about how, for both of us, we really want to make sure that we are doing a good job explaining what this practice is and what it isn't, so that folks can then make an informed choice on accurate information. Like, okay, now that I know, I still am not interested in this, or now that I know, I want to give it a try. either way, you know, it's not about convincing anybody. It's more about presenting what this practice is. And it is simple but not easy, because when we remove all the distractions of our life and we sit with ourselves without any distraction, you've just created a lot of room for a lot to come up. And that often is unpleasant. So we see, you know, emotional pain and physical pain, and yet the practice gives us a way to relate to those things with less resistance and more of an open door, of a welcoming. Um, the Rumi poem, The Guest House, says it really well. So you invite these things in, and you feel how they feel in the body. And also foundational is that you begin to see, because you're directly experiencing, that these things change. They are impermanent. It's a law of nature. And the more you see that every thought, every emotion, every body pain is of the nature to appear, kind of have its life form and move. Um, Years ago, I used to teach the smoking cessation classes. And I was also a practitioner at that time. So one of the things I used to say to people is that whether you give in to the craving or not, the craving is going to pass. It's going to pass. And that is, you know, that holds true for anything that we feel really drawn to. So it could be a desire for certain foods that we know we probably shouldn't eat. It could be desire to be checking our phones a lot, and to play that. This is a good experiment to try, is how often do you check your phone and how often do you really need to? And that when the urge arises to check, it's actually arising in the body. So feel that physical sensation of, what does the desire to check feel like? And hang out with it without checking, and just see what happens. So the beauty of this practice for me has always been, there is nothing to blindly believe, that this is empirical, in that you test it for yourself and see for yourself. Been doing breath mantra programs at my gym. Yeah. That's great. I cannot emphasize enough. I don't know how many of you were on with Emma Seppala, the neuroscientist from Yale, but a lot of her work is around breath. She wrote a book called Sovereign that is just published, but that's on our YouTube page if you missed it. So she does quite a lot of work with breath, and has done research that's really, really interesting. The experience of learning to practice within our group has made me less afraid to be open to exploring. Yeah, yes, Susan. I think, you know, part of the beauty of the practice is that you start to see, like, oh, I can actually be with that. Like, I can be with that. It's not quite as scary as I thought. Um, and I have found that in many, many different ways in my life. So um, I see that we're at 9 o'clock, but thank you all for joining this morning. And it's Thursday, so have a wonderful weekend. Won't see you again till Tuesday. And Hell is on Tuesday if you want to continue this exploration of body. So, okay, thanks everybody. Bye.